Celtics bomb. The trade could happen today. Understand it. Is there a price for a miracle? Or is the hunger for a championship banner simply priceless? I start today's video with that question because honestly, that's exactly what seems to be on Brad Stevens' desk right now. And when I say on the table, just imagine that silent room, cold light, reports, spreadsheets, agent calls, pressure from the owner, and the whole city looking at the same decision. It's a choice that doesn't fit the projections, doesn't respect the script, and doesn't ask permission for logic. Because if we go back a few months, this year was supposed to look like a transition. Do you remember the feeling? That butterflies in your stomach. Almost an okay, let's breathe, accept, be patient. When the front office moved hard and the squad changed in a way that no one expected, many people understood it as a clear message. Let's reorganize the house, adjust the finances, look forward. And then comes the part that makes everything more intense. The season started, the ball went up, and the Celtics simply refused to obey what was written. That's why I want you to stay with me until the end. Because what's happening now is not just about exchange, it's not just about luxury tax, and it's not just about a date on the calendar. It's about message, about identity, about the kind of franchise Boston chooses to be when the opportunity presents itself in an unexpected way. And if you like this type of analysis with context, with Behind the Scoreboard, take advantage and subscribe to the Celtics Talk Show. We are very close to a game-changing goal for the channel, 1,000 subscribers. Reaching this goal really helps a lot because it opens doors, strengthens the project, makes the content reach more fans, and gives us breadth to cover everything more frequently and with more quality. So, if you want to see this channel grow and continue following every step of these Celtics, subscribe now and activate the bell so you don't miss anything. And leave a like, because it is the quickest signal for YouTube to understand that this video deserves to be shown to more people. Now, let's get to the main point. How does a team that many people treated as a bridge year suddenly find itself as a team that no one wants to see in a series? How does the narrative change so quickly? And here's a name that you can't get around: Jaylen Brown. What Jaylen Brown is doing is not just playing well. It's not just a strong period. It's that kind of season that turns bar conversation into serious debate, that changes the opponent's stance, that changes the way the coaching staff prepares the game. It is a season of real leadership, of weight, of responsibility. It's him saying, on the court, without a nice speech, that this group is not here to fulfill the schedule and wait for the future to arrive. He's pulling the Celtics to a place no one was sure they could get to now. And this is where the dilemma arises. Because behind the cameras, there is the cold plan. There is financial planning. There is the fear of penalties. There is the new league rules scenario. There is the real cost of keeping the sheet the way it is. There is, mainly, the temptation to look at this window and say, calm down. The rational thing is to hold, sell, alleviate, prepare the ground. But basketball is not just rational, and the locker room, then, isn't even mentioned. Think with me for a second. You have a group that kills itself playing, that finds victories where no one bet, that creates chemistry, that starts to believe in something great. Then February arrives, close to the exchange deadline, and the board has the option of making changes to save money, to fix the spreadsheet. How do you face this locker room and say, so, you're up there, but I'm going to dismantle you piece by piece because the account needs to be closed? You can even explain, you can even justify, but the emotional effect remains. And in a league where trust and atmosphere count for a lot, this conversation can be costly. And I know there are two types of fans watching right now. There are fans who look at the rules, the payroll, the punishments, and say, if you don't do what's right now, you'll pay later. And there is the other side, which looks at what the Celtics are showing on the court and responds, but what if this later doesn't exist the way we imagine? What if the chance is here now? This division is real, and it is not just discussion on social media. It is a reflection of the moment of the franchise. Because it's not just any franchise, it's Boston. It's a heavy shirt. And when a team like that smells something big, the city changes its mood. You see it in the game. in the energy, in the way the conversation grows. And then another element comes in that makes everything even more dramatic, the possibility of Jayson Tatum returning. I'm not here to sell you fantasy, but I have to be honest. If the Celtics are already competing at this level, and at some point you reinstate a player of Tatum's caliber with PE, when the teams are fresher, this changes the team's ceiling. The story stops being beautiful to watch and becomes, be careful with this team. And when that happens, Brad Stevens' decision stops being just administrative and becomes a public declaration. We're going to really try. Or on the other side, we will prioritize the future and financial health even with the team surprising. And here is the heart of the video. What is at stake is not just the exchange, it's the intention. Some projections and analyses out there indicate that the franchise can simply hold on, not avoid taxes, not make that classic deadline sale. And why does this attract so much attention? Because normally, when you talk about savings of around $12 million, that matters. It weighs a lot. And in the NBA, money isn't a detail, it's a strategy. But there is a point at which savings can cost more than they save. And this point appears when the team proves on the court that it is more than a squad for the following year. When talking about ways to lighten the payroll, names such as a large expiring contract like Anfernee Simons and the possibility of moving useful players on the squad like Sam Hauser, for example, come into play. On paper, changing an expiring contract is simple. You exchange, receive choices, adjust salary, close account. On the spreadsheet, it's even nice. But the game is not a spreadsheet. And I want you to think about this calmly. What does this type of player represent within the team structure? Because it's not just about salary. If you have a player who spaces the court, who takes shots, who forces the defense to respect you, that's not a luxury. This is oxygen for the gear to work. You take away a shooter and you don't just lose points. You change the court map. You close corridors. You make your opponent's life easier. And that, in playoffs, is fatal. And Hauser is a perfect example of this reality. In a league that values shooting so much, having a tall player with reliable mechanics who comes in and changes the gravity of the attack is something you don't dismiss without feeling. And here I want to put you in the decision-making room. What's worth more? Gaining financial strength or maintaining the consistency of a cast that is finally getting along? Because chemistry is not something you buy at the market, you build. And when you start building for real, dismantling to save money becomes a choice with consequences. And that's where I come back to Jaylen Brown. Because no matter how cold the discussion seems, deep down, it is human. What Brown is saying with this season is, I can carry, I can lead, I can transform the tone of the team. If, at the height of this message, the franchise decides to sell, what is the message behind it? You don't even need to put it into words. The locker room understands. And the fans, too. It would be like looking at your best player who is playing at a prize level and saying, thank you for putting us in this position, but we will choose to save money. This shakes confidence. This changes the environment. This creates a crack that often doesn't appear the next day, but appears at the decisive moment, when the game gets tight, when the pressure arrives. That's why I say, the trade deadline is not just about who comes in and who goes out. It's about what the franchise believes when no one is looking. And now, I want to hold you here with me in the video with a simple but powerful question. Do you believe that this team is a beautiful story that will cool down when reality hits? Or do you believe that it is a sleeping giant that has finally woken up? Because the answer changes everything. It changes the way you view each victory. It changes how you interpret each rumor. It changes how you understand every minute of basketball from now until February. And before continuing, I'll reinforce. If you're enjoying this conversation, if this type of content makes you understand the Celtics in a deeper way, subscribe to the Celtics Talk Show now. Our goal of 1,000 subscribers is not just a pretty number. It really helps the channel to be recommended, it helps us to have more reach, it strengthens the community, and it gives us a huge push to cover every movement, every rumor, every game, frequently and consistently. It's a quick click for you, but for the channel, it's huge. Sign up, activate the bell, and leave a like so you don't miss the next updates. Because until the exchange deadline ends, every day can become news. back. If Boston decides to keep the core and not avoid the tax, the message is clear. It's Boston saying, "We believe." It's Boston showing that the transition period may be over before it truly begins. And this changes the team's behavior, because players feel when the franchise buys into the fight together. The squad enters a different court. The effort in the fourth quarter changes. The bank's energy changes. The coach's confidence changes. But there is the other side, and I won't hide it. If the board pays this cost, the charge goes up. From then on, there is no shield of "we are rebuilding." There is no safety net. You publicly admit that you are trying to win, and that for some is scary, because you expose yourself. You put your chips in the center of the table. But this is also what separates franchises that participate in the season from franchises that leave a mark. And the next match, for example, in Detroit, which in a normal scenario could pass as just another game, becomes a showcase. It becomes a signal, turns into a thermometer. Each victory strengthens the narrative that you cannot dismantle a team that has learned to win. And each defeat, of course, becomes fuel for those who defend caution. That's the environment now. It's tension all the time. You feel it in the conversation, in the fans, in the media, in everything. Now look to the future, honestly. If the Celtics maintain their base and Tatum returns well, how many teams in the East really want to face Boston in a long series? A team with two elite wings capable of scoring in volume and a squad that has been tested by adversity all season? This becomes a fitting nightmare. This becomes nobody wants to take it. And in the playoffs, winning often starts before Game 1. It starts with the respect you command. On the other hand, if Boston decides to sell and ease, there is a real risk of going wrong. Not because the team is weak, but because the sport is sensitive. You move the wrong piece at the wrong time, and the team loses its identity. Then you run the risk of falling into a tighter fight, of entering dangerous territory, of wasting an excellent year from a player at his peak, and also irritating a fan base that won't accept anything less than excellence. And that's why I don't see this decision as simple. She is the crossroads between finance and glory, and most of the time, calculation wins. But this year looks like an exception. It looks like something that breaks the norm. It looks like a season that starts crooked and ends in history. So I want to do an exercise with you, very direct, as if I were talking to you next door. If you were Brad Stevens now, what would you do? Do you hold the line and bet on what's happening? Do you accept paying to try to win? Or do you prioritize the next chapter and avoid penalties, even with the team showing strength? And I want you not to respond automatically. Think about the human impact. Think about the locker room. Think about Jaylen Brown looking around and seeing if the franchise believes in him. Think about the message for the entire league, because often this decision echoes for years. It defines culture, defines reputation. It defines how agents and players see the Celtics when it comes time to choose a destination. I'll tell you my reading, and then you can tell me in the comments whether you agree or not. When a team exceeds expectations like this, when there is real leadership on the court, when the group creates an identity, the most aggressive attitude may be precisely not moving. It can be maintained. It could be saying, "We are here." It's not always aggressive to change. Sometimes aggressive is resisting the temptation to dismount. But I also understand those who say, "Be careful," because the NBA doesn't forgive financial mistakes. And the new rules are tough, but fans don't get excited about the spreadsheet. The fan cheers with the banner, and Boston lives off banners. The history of the franchise is not about participating well, it is about making a mark. And if there is a real chance, however small, of turning an unlikely year into a real year, that completely changes the weight of the decision. And this is where I ask once again, with the heart of the project, help us reach 1,000 subscribers. If you've made it this far, it's because this content makes sense to you. And when we reach this goal, the channel gains strength, gains reach, and I can bring even more videos, more analyses, more coverage, the way the fans deserve. So sign up now, leave a like, and activate the bell. Do that and stay with me, because I'm going to close the video with the most important part. what you, the fan, need to observe in the coming weeks to understand which path Boston will choose. The first sign is language, not just in interviews but in small decisions. Minutes, rotations, how the team behaves in difficult moments. The second sign is silent movement. When rumors start to focus on the same names, when the news insists on the same direction, there is usually smoke. The third sign is the team's posture on the court. Whether the team plays like someone who believes or like someone who is just holding the boat. This appears in the detail, in the transition defense, in the disputed rebound, in the extra pass, in the body that goes to the ground. And the big question for you to take away from this video is, do you want Boston to be prudent or courageous? And I'm not saying that prudence is cowardice. Prudence can be intelligence. But courage sometimes is seeing a window where no one else saw. It's betting when the scenario wasn't planned, but reality invited you. I really want to read your opinion to the write in the comments. Would you keep the squad and cover the cost to try to run for the title? Or would you make moves to alleviate and prepare for the future? And also tell me, do you trust that pieces like Simons and Hauser can be differentiators in a large series? Or do you think there is something else missing to fight for at the top? If you comment, I'll respond, because the idea here is to build a community of fans who really think about the Celtics, not just reacting to the score. And of course, if you've stayed with me this far, don't leave now. Leave a like, subscribe to the Celtics Talk Show, activate the bell, and continue watching the video, because from now on, every game, every rumor, and every decision could be the piece that defines the rest of the season. Let's go together. Because if there is a time when fans make a difference even off the court, it is now. And if this team is writing a story outside the script, we will be here to tell each chapter. And this is where I want to close with you the way this story deserves, with truth and with pressure in the air. Because what is happening in Boston is not another phase. It is not another adjustment. It is not just an amazing season. This here is an identity test. It's the franchise looking in the mirror and deciding whether to treat this chance as a beautiful accident or as a call to war. From now until the trade deadline, each victory weighs twice. It weighs on the table and weighs on Brad Stevens' head. Each game is a message. Don't mess around. And at the same time, every rumor is a spark trying to set the locker room on fire. It's in these types of moments that teams break down or become legends. And I'll tell you, if these Celtics continue to play with this hunger, with this unity, and with this level of leadership, no one in the East will sleep peacefully. Nobody. Now I want to listen to you with the heart of a fan and the head of a general manager. Do you pay the price for the dream, or do you retreat to protect the spreadsheet? Comment below what decision you would make and why, because I will read it and I will respond, and I want to see the fans taking a stand. Today, it is the type of debate that separates those who watch it from those who live it. And before you leave, do this for me. Leave a like now, because that pushes the video to more Celtics fans. Subscribe to the Celtics Talk Show and activate the bell, because we are in the final stretch to reach the goal of 1,000 subscribers, and that changes everything for the channel. Serious. This goal really helps us grow, bring more videos, cover every rumor, every game, every movement with more strength and frequency. It's a simple click for you, but it's a giant step for us. And there's one more very important thing. I'm going to leave the Celtics Analyses playlist in the pinned comment. Click there and binge watch, because that playlist is where I delve into everything. Context, decisions, fittings, game reading, and what's behind the headlines. If you want to truly understand the Celtics and stay ahead of any rumors that appear, this is it. Go to the pinned comment, open the playlist, Celtics Analyses, and stay with me now. Because from that point on, it's not just about the next game, it's about the next chapter. And I promise you, what's coming could be loud, it could be historic, and it could be exactly the kind of season we remember for years. See you in the next video. And until then, look at the Celtics, look at the deadline, and my heart is prepared.